All right, guys, today we get to do something I am not stoked about. It involves one of these and my good hood. I'm not stoked to drill these holes, but we gotta do what we gotta do. So let's get into this one. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys how I'm gonna do this. I'm really gonna hope it works. So I forgot to record a second ago, but I've started putting tape down to kind of get a visualize of where they're gonna be. Now, my wastegates are really close to already being like perfect. The exhaust is not, because I just wasn't able to get it as perfect as I would like. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna base off this one. I like how this one, the placement from just closing the hood, kind of seeing where it's at on the hood. I like where that one is placed more than I do this one, I believe. So I'm gonna do a lot more looking, but my plan is to base it off one side. So I'm gonna do one, get it where I like, and then replicate it over here. Now the exhaust might not match up, so we might have to redo the exhaust a little bit to tweak it into place, with maybe extending it, doing stuff like that. Like I said, I would rather the holes on the hood match up than when you have the engine bay open and looking at the pipes. I'm fine with those looking different, but as long as the hood looks the same when closed, I'm good with that. That's what I worry about, okay? Like I said, I really don't think it's gonna be that bad. With looking, they're a little off, but they're not crazy. So we'll see where we get, and you'll see the process, I guess. All right, so we've got this first hole lined up. And if I'm right, that's like dead on with this one, which I'm happy with that placement. Like I like that. My view's not really gonna be messed up because my view's technically right here. It's right there. Wastegate will be over here, more towards my view, but it really doesn't matter. They're only gonna be sticking up this much, and hopefully the fumes ain't too bad on the view side of things, but I don't mind that. And I like that there's enough room, almost fell, enough room around here if I wanna put a ring. I'll actually have room for that. That was one thing I was worried about, was getting into that body line there and not being able to put like a ring on it or anything. So we will be able to put a ring, so the hole doesn't have to be perfectly circle if we have a ring. But once we drill this hole, then we need to drill the wastegate hole, and then we'll replicate everything on this side and make the exhaust fit. That's where the task is going to be a little bit harder, but I don't think it's going to be too bad. So, and I guess you just drill it. Now, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done this. I've never put a hood stack on something, especially that I have 4. That makes it a lot harder. You know, diesel's only got that one exhaust pipe out of it usually. Very rarely are they running wastegates like that, so I don't know. I guess it's drilling time. I'm gonna yank the exhaust hot sides off since I got everything marked so that they're not in the way. And then we're gonna bust the hole saw out, I guess. Oh, I'm not ready for this. Okay, so we have a 4.5-inch hole saw. Hoping this is big enough. I thought I bought a 4.5 and a 5 just in case, but I ended up buying 2 4.5, so I got 2 4.5-inch hole saws for no reason. We're gonna start with this. I think with the amount of space it has a little bit of play. I think that's great. I didn't want to go exactly 4-inch because the exhaust is exactly 4-inch, so stuffing it through the hood is just kind of dumb. I'd rather it have a little bit of room because the motor's gonna move, stuff's gonna move, so it needs a little bit of play. So 4.5 is what we're gonna go with. Worst case, we'll bump it up to 5. Like I said, with where I'm putting this, I'm hoping I can run some like polished rings on the exhaust, on the hood. So if we got to go a little bigger, we can. If we need slight adjustment, we got it. You know, that's kind of the point of it. But I guess there's no going back. We're getting ready to drill this sucker. Yeah, I'm scared. I'm not even going to lie. Definitely worried about this, but it's going to be fine. And like I've said earlier, if the exhaust doesn't fit perfect, we'll modify it. I don't mind doing that. I'm just drilling these holes once. So they're all measured out. They're going to be in the same spot, and that's all that matters. And then we got to do wastegates after this. All right, whatever. But we're going to get these 4-inch holes drilled. Let's get it. I think if I just get it over with, I'll feel better about it. My heart's beating. I never had this much anxiety over a modification to my truck. I cut the fenders without even batting an eye at the thing. My heart's beating so fast, but we got a hole. Looks pretty clean. We're gonna go ahead and test fit this one just before we drill the other one. I'll just start it right there. All right. Not mad about it, all right? Not mad. Like I said, we're gonna get a ring. It'll look a little more metrical. We can kind of like, definitely gonna order a ring. Time to get the other one drilled. Not stoked. Not stoked at all. Also not stoked on all these metal fittings. So I'm getting ready to drill the other side, but I'm gonna end up doing it in vertical because that's gonna be for Instagram. So I'll just update you guys when that one's drilled, and then we're gonna see how, I know this one's not gonna fit nearly like that one. This one's gonna need some adjustments for sure, because I already know kind of where these sit, and this one sits this way about a decent amount. So we're gonna have to definitely fix this pipe. Not excited for that, but we're going to get it done. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna make it right. I'm gonna get to drilling this other hole. I am super stoked on how symmetrical those are. Now time to find out how much this one does not line up. We're gonna have to do some adjustments. Might have to redo these supports that we built last night, because we might just have to completely shift the turbo in a different orientation, but that's fine. We got the holes drilled. Those are symmetrical. We're gonna get the turbos lined out, because the wastegates, we're not gonna be able to move as much. So we're gonna try to get this all figured out first with those. Then we're gonna drill the wastegates, because we also have to get those symmetrical as well. This whole measuring and making things perfect thing, it sucks. So yeah, if you don't have to, don't. Pay somebody. I wanted to do it myself. We're doing good so far, but golly, is it hard. So I'm gonna get this thing thrown back on. We're gonna see how far off it is. I know it's gonna be off, so might take off the turbo mount, adjust it to where it needs to go, and see if we can just get it with just adjusting the turbo, or if we're just gonna have to change the pipe setup. I kind of want to not change the pipe setup, but if we have to, we have to. So let's get that thing back on. All right, so I figured out what I'm gonna do for the angle. As you can tell, these freaking things are awesome. Ignore these are not cut to anything yet, but these things are level. Like, this is the best they've looked so far. Now, so we're still off here on the holes, but we are close. So we need to shift this turbo back. We've got the angle right now. We just need this to be moved back a little bit. Even this one just needs a slight adjustment. That's just some play in the turbo. We can get that out. But this one actually needs to be shifted back. So I think I figured out what I'm gonna do. And I don't think it's gonna be very noticeable once these are painted black. So there's that, but it's gonna be a little different on the exhaust. So this exhaust, I think what we're gonna do, because I just can't find anywhere in here without completely redoing this hot side to add an inch back, or half an inch, whatever it actually needs. I just can't find it here. You know, I found where I can make that tilt. So we've got a pie cut shoved in there right now that we're going to be adding to the pipe. I'll show you guys that in a second. But I found where I can tilt it, and we've got the tilt perfect, okay? And all I need is literally like a half inch back, but I can't figure out anywhere in a 390s where I could just add a half an inch. You know, there's not a straight piece. If there was a straight piece, I could just add that half inch to it, and it'd move it back perfectly fine. Sadly, with how this is designed, we can't. So I'm gonna go where I can add a straight piece, and the only place I can think to do that is on the exhaust exit. So if I add, say, I think it's just a half, I don't know exactly how much I'm gonna have to add, but say a half inch, there'll be a little bit half inch right here, and then we'll do the 90 up. Like I said, we're gonna have to move this. This is still kind of in the way, but it's gonna be slightly different than this side. But when I say slightly, it's literally gonna be like that much of a difference. Like I said, these are gonna be painted black. I'll grind it. You won't even probably notice it. Anyone that watched the video will know. So there's your little secret. They are not perfect. It's close. But what I'm gonna do, yank this whole hot side out. We're gonna cut that flange off again, get that pie cut tacked into it, make sure everything looks the same. We're gonna mock it all back up. Then we're gonna take the exhaust off, whack that flange off. We're gonna add, I'm gonna do some measurements here in a minute. Once we get that tacked in of how much we actually have to add to get this to be pushed back in the right spot. But we're gonna add that amount, tack it up, try closing the hood, seeing where we're at, seeing what adjustments we have to do, and hopefully that fixes our issue. So we're going to dive into that. Little bit of more work than I expected, but I'm stoked at how much these lines, like this is so much more. Each adjustment I keep doing, which I wish we would have done this in the get-go, obviously, but each adjustment we're doing, it just keeps getting better. We're doing what we got because we are going to have to adjust the wastegates a little bit after all of these changes we've done. I think we're going to have to shorten this hot side just a hair for the wastegate to line up with the passenger side. So that's all we're going to have to do, and then we're going to drill the holes for the hood, whatever. So actually, when we drilled this hole, it was based off this one's wastegate. I think we're going to drill this one first for this wastegate and then match it over here. So we're just going to get it as matchy-matchy as possible. But let me get this thing yanked off. We're going to get that chopped off, and we're going to get that pie cut welded in. So this is what I end up cutting. Going to have to clean up all the burrs and stuff. But this is our fix for the angle issue. Going to be a real small weld here for sure. So it's probably not going to be the prettiest. Whatever. It's going to be in there. And yeah, this is our fix to the height issue. As you can see, me yanking that out just completely messed it up. So, going to get this thing welded in. All right, so we're back the next day. We went ahead, we've thrown this pie cut in. We've got it all tacked up. We're going to go and throw it back on the truck and see if this gets us where we need to be. If that's the case, we'll yank it back off, fully weld this thing, and get the exhaust slightly modified to fit outside that hood. Okay, so we've got it tacked up, and it's getting really level. Now, what we got to do is add, which I've already kind of cut. I got to deburr it and stuff. We're going to add this piece here. Because what that should do, if this piece goes there, it should bring that exhaust out just enough to fit into that hole. The main thing is, I'm not worried about if the pipes look perfectly even, which once they're black, it's really going to be hidden pretty well. I just need them to come out the holes in the same exact spot. We've got that. If this works, we're good, and I'm happy with it. So my idea worked. Pretty stoked on that. I think I'm going to end up having to do a 5-inch hole, and then I'm going to get these 5-inch. I'm going to put a link of what I think I'm going to order, or not a link. I'm going to put a photo of what I'm going to order for these right here on the screen. It's from Monkey Fab. They're these really cool rings, and I think I'm going to get the 5-inch one. I can open that hole up to a 5-inch. It's going to give it a little more room. Right now it's at a 4.5, so it's not going to be much bigger than the hole already is. It's just going to give it that little bit more room it needs. But, dude, like, the exhaust is out of the hood now. I just have to finish weld all this. And, yes, we had to modify that one. Yes, it looks a little different. But in reality, it's not much. Now, I got some pretty bad gaps we got to fill on that thing. Didn't do the best fit up. But, we'll get that welded. No big deal. Once it's black, I don't think you're going to notice. Especially when I put a turbo blanket on, it's really going to throw off all the distances of stuff. So, we're good. Like I said, we're going to get that thing all finished welded, get the actual turbo mount, or get the turbo piping also fully welded. Then we got to redo our mounts. So Tyler brought up a good point that I did not think about the other day when I built these. I didn't straighten this oil line. It's not a big deal, but since I'm already redoing one, I might as well redo them both. I don't think it's going to take much over here to actually twist that and redo that. So we're going to do that on this side, and then obviously we have to pretty much completely remake the other side. Because we've completely moved the turbo. So we're going to get into that. Let's get this thing fully welded. Then we're going to fix these turbo mounts, and we're good on the hot side at that point. Okay, so I'm putting off the turbo mounts just till tomorrow. I got to go get some more metal. I've decided I'm just going to completely remake both of them. Just chop it off and go from there. So, all right, we're back again on the Denali. I have decided I'm going to wait to drill these wastegate holes. So it might put me back a little bit on powder. Reason being, I just ordered a set of like hood stacks, but they're a lot smaller than like a diesel hood stack or anything like that. And I got wastegate stacks, and I got just exhaust stacks. They're both like 2 inches, nothing crazy. But I need to see where they're going to mount on the hood before I want to drill these holes, because they have about a inch in diameter ring around the whole stack side. And we got this body line on the hood right here. So I need to make sure it's over just enough for it to not hang off. So I gotta wait till those get in. They're from Monkey Fab. I think they're pretty quick with getting stuff shipped out, because I bought stuff in the past. I know these are made to order, so it might take a little longer. They might have them on shelf because I didn't get any craving. So we're going to put that off into another video until that gets in. So in this one, we're going to continue making the new turbo mount. So in the last video, I made the other ones. And since we changed the location of the turbos in this video, we're going to be putting new mounts. So I've taken off the old mounts on this side. I haven't taken this side off yet. And I'll ground it down. I've already kind of started. I'm a little ahead, but whatever. We've almost got the passenger side one all bent up and ready to go with the old tabs we made. Let me get it in here. So this is kind of what we got, and it fits better than that, but you can kind of get the, gist. So it's going to go from that mount we have down there to the turbo mount here. And we're going to get that thing tacked up, get that one fully welded. Then we'll move over to the driver's side, get this one fixed up. This one was a different shape completely. So I don't know what we're going to end up doing on that one. I think we'll do something similar to what we did on this side. We're going to change that up. That one kind of looked pretty odd. But I'm getting to use my new bender. I ended up buying this just for these turbo mounts. It works, I guess. I don't know. All right, we got this thing tacked up, and if you know, I hate doing this. I hate doing that. I hate MIG welding in the truck. Yes, I could cover this stuff up, but for 2 little tacks, it's not the big of a deal. But I still hate it. I'm still going to complain. Whatever. But we're going to get this thing yanked out. Make sure it doesn't move. Fully weld it. And if you guys have ever had a turbo mount, it goes from dropping a turbo in pretty easy to pretty difficult. Just because you got to line up, you just got to line stuff up. Then it goes from lining up just the 4 flanges to now the arm, and it's annoying, but they do good at what they're there for. So we're gonna put it on. So yeah, we're gonna get that thing yanked out, fully weld it. We'll be done with that side, and then we got to build this one. All right, so we have finished up making both the turbo mounts. I'm gonna flip this camera around. I'm gonna show you guys how it came out and where we put. So this is the driver's side. We did a little 90 bend here. Goes down to the head with a 13. Goes to the bottom of that drain over here. We got it going to this alternator bolt, and everything is done. So we're finished with this for now. We have a couple other things we got to do before we send all this stuff off to get Cerakoted and to get some of the other things powder coated. But until then, you got to hit that subscribe button if you want to keep up with this build. Definitely, I advise to. This is going to be the world's first. So hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.